What's up, everybody, and welcome to another wonderful episode of Poll Rundown. I know it's been a while, haven't made one of these in quite a long time, and there's some good reasons, there's some bad reasons for it. Either way, let's get started. So basically, this is a graphical update poll. There's also some pets involved, there's some stat changes, kind of all over the place. Either way, a lot of cool, fun changes potentially coming into the game that you guys are going to be voting on. Remember that if you want to vote, there's a link to the poll down in the description, so you can go vote. And remember, always never log into any site that isn't RuneScape.com. I'm just linking you to the RuneScape page where you can navigate to it yourself. Anyway, let's begin very quickly. Should the Odium and Malediction wards be graphically reworked? These are the Wilderness Rejuvenation shields that came out. The shards are dropped by the demi-bosses. You guys may be familiar with them if you watch my stream pretty often. I have both of them. I use both of them quite often. They're fantastic shields, but right now they just look like recolored obby shields. So they're not the best looking things in the world. They kind of fit the feel of old school, but since we do have a graphic artist now, Mr. Mod Alfred, Jagex has touched up, or I guess Alfred has touched them up, designed completely new shields, and they look pretty good. If you want to see what they look like, it's obviously in the dev blog of this poll. Remember, before voting in the poll, you should always read the dev blog. It has all the details, everything that you need to form your opinion on these questions. So make sure you're reading that. Absolutely, rework them. I'm so tired of asking if my obby shield has been colored and how I can do that. No. It's either way, these first questions, these graphical reworks, the main thing you should be asking yourself is, do these reworks keep the feel of RuneScape as it should be in this, the old school feel? Generally speaking, with this one, not really. But the rest of these, I think, work quite well with the way RuneScape looks. I think Alfred's done a pretty good job keeping the feel of old school alive. So, yes, the occult necklace should be graphically reworked. The other issue with the occult necklace is you can barely see it when you're wearing it. You rarely even know you're wearing it. So, definitely yes on that. Graceful. Looks amazing. If you haven't seen the previews, again, read the dev blog. Go over to Alfred's Twitter. Hopefully I'll remember to link both of those in the description of the video. And then the D-Pick. This is the one that obviously needs some work. Looks pretty good, again, with input from the community. Alfred designed it, again, over on his Twitter. It's a good place to be. So if you're curious about that, obviously head over there and read the dev blog, because it's in there too. Should the Staff of the Dead special attack animation be graphically reworked? Sure, why not? Who cares? Doesn't really matter. It's not a big deal. It's not going to affect gameplay, so go for it. Should the Kraken Tentacle inventory icon be graphically reworked? The whole poll is just a tongue twister. Yeah, go for it. Kind of looks terrible. Should the Steam Battle Staff be graphically reworked? Yeah, I'm all for it. It's probably the only staff, the only multi-staff that looks, well, I guess, to be fair, it looks the worst out of all of them. The Lava Staff is basically a normal staff, but it's got, it's got some pretty colors going on it. Obviously, the Mud Staff is this huge hulking thing, and the Smoke Battle Staff is also this crazy thing. So why don't we rework the Steam Battle Staff, give it a bit of a boost? Now on to the pets. This is a highly controversial question, believe it or not. Pets were pulled, God Wars pets specifically were pulled back when we were bringing God Wars into the game, and I guess the main reason people didn't want pets in the game was because they were obnoxious. It's very annoying to have to click through people's pets. Cats are a big pain in the ass. There's a lot about pets that piss people off for whatever reason. Jagex has now fixed all that. You can't even right-click other people's pets. You kind of just have to live in mystery of what that weird thing following that person is. So, will the God Wars bosses, or should the God Wars bosses, drop a very rare pet of themselves? Basically, mini versions of General Grardor, Zami Demon Guy, Kriara, and of course, Commander Ziliana. Go for it. I am all for adding content like this, especially because it is right up my alley. It adds, honestly, just a whole nother aspect, a whole nother interesting thing to go for when you are killing these bosses. I think it adds a nice long-term piece of content. This is not something you're going to go and just get right away. You really got to grind for it. So not only does it add content to the game, long-term content, but it's also an update that doesn't change gameplay. It's just something interesting. And it's a great way of showing off a kind of achievement. So I am all for all these pet updates, including Dagonoth Kings, Thermonuclear, Smoke Devil, Kraken, freaking... So these two got lumped together because they're Slayer bosses. I don't know why they're together, but either way, Giant Mole. Obviously, you know what the little baby moles look like. They're just adorable. They're little cute moles. Plus, this gives at least a semi-good reason to go kill the mole if you want the mole pet. Calfight Queen, and of course, lastly, the King Black Dragon and Wilderness bosses. I am all for... Oh, and of course Scorpia. I am all for those pets. Sounds great. Believe it or not, I have looked at the results of this poll. Some of these are not passing, and one of them that's not passing is the wildy bosses. Not sure why, but there you go. And just to put in perspective how these very rare drops will work, the only pet we have right now that functions the same way as these pets will function is the Chaos Ellie pet. And what we know about the Chaos Ellie pet, it is 1 in 300 from the Chaos Elemental, which is the rarest monster-specific drop from the Chaos Ellie. It is the rarest drop it has, basically, on its monster-specific table. You can talk about how, maybe something on its rare drop table won't happen as often, but from his table itself, it is the rarest drop at 1 in 300, as well as it is the rarest drop from the Chaos Fanatic at 1 in 1000. So it's not going to be easy peasy to get these drops. In fact, knowing the drop rates of stuff like hilts and all that sort of stuff from God Wars, I would not be surprised to see the pets as rare, if not rarer, than God Wars hilts. And I still haven't even gotten a hilt from God Wars, so may take a while to get all these pets if you're going pet hunting. Either way, again, I just to reiterate what I said before, just emphasize the point that these are really cool long-term goals that you can have, and it just adds a nice piece of long game content that, again, doesn't affect gameplay, so it's a nice little addition. Should we add a warning when casting alchemy spells on items with an alchemy value of 30,000 coins or more? This warning can be toggled on and off. I am sick of Jagex babying the community. I have always been sick of Jagex babying the community, and the reason I'm voting no for this is because if you alked your whip, sucks for you. It's kind of part of RuneScape, man. If you do it, sucks. You obviously weren't thinking at that moment, but imagine all the other things that we would get rid of if, Jagex babysit. Basically, we're babysitting us all day long. There'd be a lot of stuff. You could have your little JMod angel sitting on your shoulder and telling you not to do things or to do things because, oh, it's dangerous, watch out. I'm not a fan of them babying us. It's pretty simple. You shouldn't alch your high-valued item. Sure, you can turn the warning on and off, but just don't be stupid. How about that? I'm sure this opinion will be looked upon as, honestly, probably pretty terrible from the community standpoint. Probably not going to make any friends telling you guys that this is how I feel about this vote, but I just think it's silly. Much like I think the drop warning thing is very silly. Either way, I'm voting no on that one. Up to you how you want to vote. If you're the person who's constantly alching his high-valued items, probably want to vote yes on that one. Should we standardize respawn rates of monsters and resources that all the worlds act as full worlds? The Dagannoth Kings will remain unchanged. This is arguably the biggest question in the entire poll, and I'm sorry it took me so long to get to it, because this is the one that is most important. This would mean that every single world, and in case you didn't know this, let's back up at least one step. Spawn rates of monsters in RuneScape are based off of how many people are in each world. Now, I'm not exactly sure how often it scales. It might be every 50 players. It might be every 100. I'm sure somebody in the comments or chat will know and can let us know that. But their spawn rates are based off of how many people are playing in that specific server. This update would make it so that everything, and the one caveat to this question is that God Wars bosses would also be based on world population. I think they got left out of the actual poll question. Some of the mods have been talking on Twitter and all that sort of stuff. So they've apparently God Wars bosses are included in this. If they're not in the initial update that comes, if this poll question passes, they will be re-added. At least that's what I'm told. So they'll be brought back to the way it normally is. Anyway, this would basically make it so that slaying in every world is arguably most efficient. It would make it so that killing cave horrors with a cannon is much more possible in every single world. It'll make people like I Am Kiefer's and myself who go hunting for level 3s very, very happy because we don't have to fight over high pop worlds. It's definitely a game changer. This is something we've not really seen ever in RuneScape, especially in 07 where most worlds are at around 200 players each. It's very interesting to talk about something like this. So I'm definitely on the fence about this. I'm not really sure which way I'm going. I vote yes. It's definitely something good for me. Is it good for the game? That's kind of a better question. You can talk about all sorts of effects, like people being able to kill bosses faster. You can also talk about the fact that it would take away the whole point of hopping worlds when you're killing something like the wildy bosses. Right now, if you want to do anything efficient in the wildy, at least in terms of the wildy bosses, their spawns are so slow that you just have to hop worlds. It's not only terrible for streaming, like at least for me, if I'm going to go kill a wildy boss on stream, it's incredibly boring because half of the time I'm just hopping worlds. So voting yes on this definitely helps me out Does it help the game on a whole out? I think so. I think it keeps a lot of negative player interaction out of the game, like, you fucker, you stole my world, give it back type of thing. I think we avoid a lot of that with this update, but I also think there's a lot of stuff that's changing because of this. So I'm tentative yes. For now, I'll fill in yes. I'm sure that I will, I don't actually complete these polls when you guys watch me do them. I wait till later because I want to see community interaction and I want to see more opinions from people. And obviously I make these videos, so I want to see what you guys think. And, it wouldn't be the first time that someone said something that totally changed my mind. So I definitely want to hear from you guys regarding this one. So I will be waiting. Should players be able to imbue the Treasonous Ring to increase its bonus to +8 stab, attack, and defense? These two votes, so this is boosting the Tyrannical Ring and the Treasonous Ring, both being the new rings that were introduced to Venenatus and Callisto. They're basically stab and crush versions of the Zerker Ring, or rather the Warrior Ring, I should say, because the Warrior Ring offers +4 slash, and then it can be imbued to +8. The problem with them not being able to be imbued, which is a question that we had in the last poll that didn't pass, the problem with them not being able to be imbued, hell, is that a tongue twister, is that you run into this issue of, okay, my choice in gear, if I'm using, say, a Zamihasta, I'm using a stab attack. Do I want +4 more accuracy, or do I want +8 strength? I'm guessing that the answer to that question almost always is going to be +8 strength. If you bring the attack bonus even with the added strength bonus, I think more often you're going to be saying, okay, +8 stab is actually worth it. Basically, these rings were dead content on release because the Zerker is going to be the better option no matter what. Letting them be imbued is the only way to make them kind of relevant. So absolutely, 100% without a doubt, my answer is yes to those questions. I don't know why it didn't pass in the last poll. I think a lot of people were scared. I think people didn't understand specifically what the doubling was going to do. I don't think they had, an idea of these rings are going to offer +4 and it'll get to +8. And Jagex's reason, at least is what their hypothesis about it, is that the Ring of the Gods, or I guess at the time was, I don't know what the prayer ring is called, but whatever it's called, they thought that was keeping people from doubling the imbue. So obviously the one ring that's being left out here is the prayer ring that Vet'ion drops, whose name is escaping me right now. But that's the ring that's missing here, obviously, and we're not doubling that because apparently the community has something against that. I don't know where they got that. I'm sure, they're Jagex, they know their thing. So there you go. Down to some cosmetic stuff here and kind of just some quality of life stuff. Should Castle Wars tables be able to right-click take 5? Yeah, go for it. Should Lumberguard teleport scrolls be added to the list of crew scroll rewards? This is a very interesting thing. I kind of wondered why they got left off the original batch of teleport scrolls that were added in the clue scroll update. Absolutely, I think that might actually make plank making tolerable, and you'd still save some money. So might actually add some relevancy to a telescroll. It might actually be a telescroll people use. And it's actually a useful telescroll if you're doing clues. There is that level 3 clue scroll in the Lumberyard. So definitely a useful telescroll. I don't see any negative economical effects from it because it's going to be pretty expensive. All the telescrolls are at least 2k each, if not more than that. So I don't see this having a negative economical effect. You're paying a lot of money just to get that tele. Should range, strength, and damage multipliers be displayed on the equipment screen? Absolutely, we should know what we are equipping. Finally, the mystery of what Void is giving me, what range, strength bolts have, all this nonsense. We can finally see it. Thank God. Please vote yes to this. There is nothing that will change in the game from this. It is just information for players, and that is a good thing. And now, my favorite question. Should the Master Wand be able to autocast Ancient Magic? No, I don't think so, and I'll explain why. I have been having lovely, lovely talks, I guess you could call them debates, with a viewer of mine on Twitch by the name of Snowday, and this is like his question. He's like, fucking, we need to bring the Master Wand back into relevancy. Let's vote yes. We got to get it autocast. And so we've had a lot of back and forth. I will tell you that his argument is that the Master Wand is basically too expensive for what it offers you. It may have the best magic attack bonus in the game, but do you really need magic attack bonus anymore? Is that really something you need? Would you rather have autocasting, or would you rather have a Staff of the Dead that gives you damage bonus? My guess is that you would probably rather go with the damage bonus and not autocasting, or just autocasting. So I understand that point of view. I, however, think that just because, basically, let's take a look at it this way. The Ancient Staff is a very cheap staff, doesn't give you much bonus, at least compared to other staves, lets you autocast Ancients. That's its benefit. Lets you autocast Ancients. Staff of the Dead, incredibly expensive, doesn't let you autocast, but gives you that amazing damage bonus just across all magic spells. That's a good time. So that's its bonus. Gives you damage bonus. Master Wand falls into the middle of that. It's relatively expensive for a magic staff, but it's not nearly as expensive as the Staff of the Dead, but it is a couple mil, I think. Either way, its benefit is that it gives you the best magic attack bonus in the game. If you gave it the ability to autocast, not only would that kind of take out this nice little balance, this little trio of staff balance that we have, but it would also raise the price to even higher. So is that something we need? Is that something we want? Is the Master Wand dead content right now? I don't know if that's necessarily the case. And I'm definitely all about bringing stuff out of, being dead content, but I would hardly argue that something that has the highest attack bonus in the game for a specific combat style, I would hardly argue that you can even make the argument that that is dead content. So I'm voting no. I like the way it works right now. Sorry, Snow. Moving on! Should players be able to permanently disable the Cave Horror Cave Warning? God, please, yes. I don't know why. Every time you go kill Cave Horrors, you have to be like, do you have a light source? It's pretty dark in there. They're dangerous, moving creatures. Like, yes, please, I understand. I've been there a million times. Should we remove the 40 attack experience gained from killing the Ice Lord during the Cold War quest? This will allow level 3 accounts to complete the quest without gaining combat experience. 40 attack experience. I don't know anything about this question. In fact, I kind of just skipped over it. So, sure. This is where I'm voting unintelligently. Do as I say, not as I do. Should counters for boss kills and Barrow's Chest open be added? Yes, this is really cool. If only they could add in my, like 2,600 Barrow's Chests. Unfortunately, they can't, but that's really cool. I love the way old school... I love that direction old school is taking. Should a right-click option for paying farmers be added? Absolutely. Should farmer payments be listed in a skill guide? Absolutely. You should not have to go off-site to see how to protect a piece of farming plant thing. That's not really a sentence, but you get what I'm saying. I like that update in RS2. I think it should be in old school. Here's an interesting question. Should the vestment robe top and legs have their prayer bonuses increased to match monk robes? These are the robes you get from clue scrolls. Basically, they're prayer gear plus kind of magical gear. The question here is that shouldn't a higher tier robe offer a prayer bonus equal to that of the lower tier plus whatever bonuses it gives? It would kind of make the vestment robes worth it to some extent. They've pretty much always been level 1 defense gear. I don't know if people actually use them, but I'm all for this. I think as prayer gear, as really kind of rare prayer gear, if you're talking about how you get it from clue scrolls. Yeah, absolutely. It should probably have the prayer bonus of monk robes. I don't see anything wrong with that. There's usually, you're not gaining much by giving this. Basically, the situations in which you would use monk robes, because you now have this mage bonus added, and I'm pretty sure you get mage bonus from wearing these. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm fairly certain that there is not a crazy, abusable... I don't think you're gaining much advantage from this. I think this is just bringing these robes into balance, basically where they should be. So I'm okay with that. Should you be able to pay the mage in West Arty 200k to upgrade your Ibn staff to store 2,500 charges? This is an incredible question. It's a staff that has not been useful ever, but it's very powerful. The issue being that, is it too powerful? I guess we'll find out, because I'm voting yes. The Ibn staff has never been useful. It's a very low-level weapon, believe it or not, and it can do a lot of damage. I don't think it's overpowered. I think that it's supposed to be pretty good. I think Jagex messed up a little bit when they first designed it, because it's very hard to maintain an Ibn staff with however many charges you were able to give it before, which I believe was like 250 at most. Either way, I am all for this update. I think that's finally bringing something that should really be some decent mid-level content into where it actually should be, which is decent mid-level content. Here we go, finishing it up, last 4 questions. Should you be able to press spacebar to go through the chat boxes and use number keys to select from a multiple chat options? Oh boy, this question. This makes me fear the future, but it also is an interesting quality of life update. Just so people don't yell at me, I'm voting yes. It doesn't hurt gameplay, it's just kind of a convenience thing. Instead of having to spam click your chat option, you can just have spacebar. Sure. I don't like it, I don't necessarily want it, but I'll vote yes for you lovely people. Basically, In a clan war, should a left-click attack option only appear on your opponents? Pretty simple, absolutely. Although, and this is kind of the negative side of this. As always, I want to give you guys both sides. The legitimacy of clan wars as a replacement to warring in the wildy, where you would be able to attack your friend by accident if you weren't wearing a team cape. I wouldn't be surprised if there are a lot of clan war purists who vote no for this because they want clan wars to be as close to the wildy as possible. But I would argue that voting yes to this is also encouraging true combat in the wildy. So I'm voting yes. I think it's just a convenience thing. I think it's rather nice. But as you can tell from what I just said, there is a totally legitimate reason you would vote no to that. In a clan war, should an option to prevent players returning to a fight for a set period of time after dying or leaving one be added? Absolutely. Add more, add more stuff, add more elements. Make clan wars, make it the way people want it to do. Obviously, if you want to make it like the wildy, there's a certain amount of time it takes to return. If you want that to be part of, the way your war goes down, absolutely, be able to do it. Sure, more options is good. More options is good. And lastly, should we add a minigame chat channel and accompanying teleport for clan wars? That's a good question. Sure, why not? We're already past the point these tellies have, been considered, I guess, overpowered. Clan wars is not really, I don't see any benefits other than getting to clan wars that this will be used for. There are a lot of things that can be accomplished using other tellies that, maybe getting to the free-for-all portal or something like that. That I can see a lot of people doing, using this to get their stats, refreshed and stuff like that. But people can do that anyway. A dueling ring is not hard to come by, so I don't mind, basically. Anyway, guys, that is it for a very long episode of Pole Rundown. Thank you so much for watching. As always, this is filmed live on my Twitch channel, so if you are at all interested in catching my streams, obviously you can hit the annotation if I'm live on any of my videos, or you can check the link in the description. I'm live every day on there, so if you're missing out on your Barrows Boy content, you should probably go on Twitch, because that's where I usually am. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.